The early years of James Logan, people, featuring his rivalry with his brother Victor Creed, his service in the Special Forces team, Weapon X, and his experimentation into the metal-lined mutant Wolverine. Wolverine, wow. What shite. I have seen worse superhero movies. Batman and Robin, Elektra, The Green Hornet, Man of Steel, X-Men Apocalypse. Yes, this is not even the worst X-Men film, I find. However, Origins does feel like a mediocre matinee picture instead of the latest installment of a series that had been going on for nearly a decade at the time of its release. I was expecting more cringe comedy, more nonsensical action sequences, more laughably boilerplate dialogue. My expectations were too low, really. I do remember this film kicking up quite a storm amongst critics back in the day, and I guess the massive disappointment of X-Men The Last Stand had a lot to do with that. But right now, it all seems so quaint. Yes, there is some cringy slapstick and CGI that has not definitely stood the test of time. However, apart from that, everything is just mediocre in that typical X-Men way. Although Scott Adkins' makeup does look really fucking stupid in this. I guess that was the source of the discontent, that Origins is very average and very Hollywood, i.e. very cliche. People were expecting more, and if I was into X-Men, I guess I would be the same. But I didn't have that connection, and all I saw was a fantasy action film that cost way more than it should have, but just went along at a fine click, logic be damned, and just simply had that Seagal film effect, in that it's either tolerable or laughable, and Origins is between that. X-Men Apocalypse was near twice as long, and twice as dumb, I find. It's a weak defense, but it's a defense nonetheless. Origins works as a direct-to-video action film. For many, that was the problem. For me, there is schlock to be enjoyed here. At times, its narrative is muddled and has too many characters, and I did tune out. However, I feel that Origins is quick enough with its pace and laughable enough with its treatment of its IP to appeal to both Hollywood action film junkies and anti-superhero film fans alike. An odd bunch to pair, but there you go. At least it was an apocalypse. Not really a mystery why this franchise died, is it? A rich and successful lawyer, the Counsellor, is about to get married to his fiancée, but soon becomes entangled in a complex drug plot with a middleman known as Wes Trey. The plan ends up taking a horrible twist, and he must protect himself and his soon-to-be bride as the truth of the drug business is uncovered and targets are eliminated. The Counsellor is infamous for its pretentiousness and the immense critical failure it was given the talent that had been assembled for the production. And sure as hell, it did not disappoint. This has genuine value as a learning tool for screenwriting classes, as it's the absolute antithesis of show, don't tell, and why that mantra is true now as it has ever been. The Counsellor is 80% subtext and 20% text. The length of some of these dialogue exchanges is near surreal. I've seen many a direct-to-video film with similar examples of talking heads outstaying their welcome, but that was because they had no money. Fuck is your excuse? The talent that begifted this production meant one thing, $25 million estimate, which of course was made back despite everything. So there was no excuse for near 2 hours of a 2-hour 17-minute running time, yes I did watch the extended version, to be taken up by arse-gazing rhetorical speech. You could blame a lot of people, but let's blame screenwriter Cormac McCarthy, as that's the right answer. I've never seen a screenwriter given so much leeway on a production this scale in the modern era and fuck it up so badly. Many of the film's faults begin and end with the script, as the dialogue occupies the majority of the running time, and scenes that resemble something akin to visual storytelling are only there to move the threadbare plot forward or to add emphasis to the inane shit that's spewing out of these characters' mouths. And yet, something in the back of my mind is telling me I should give credit to a film that is so brazen with its ambition. But the dialogue is indeed that insufferable, the plot that thin, and the misogyny all that present amongst all the grand speeches regarding determinism, like a fart in a gold-plated elevator, that I feel no guilt in describing The Counsellor as a colossal fucking failure and an utter waste of cinematic talent. It's almost so bad it's good, but it's just too sure of itself to retain that kind of charm. Native American warrior Tonto recounts the untold tales that transformed John Reed, a man of the law, into a legend of justice. The Lone Ranger is one of Disney Studios' biggest flops, part of a double whammy with John Carter from the previous year. The Lone Ranger is reported to have lost Disney around $94 to $119 million and probably played a part in Disney's current ultra-conservative selection process, i.e. not greenlighting any projects that are not already part of a successful franchise, and as a result making modern cinema all that more creatively impoverished. Add to that several rewrites, extreme shooting conditions, a chickenpox outbreak, Johnny Depp playing a fucking Indian, and the accidental drowning of a crew member, and you have what seems to be a cursed production, leading to an underwhelming product. However, The Lone Ranger, separated from all that awfulness as much as you can when someone fucking dies on a film set, is an okay blockbuster really. It's highly likely that we won't see a western with a 9-figure budget for a good long while now, so The Lone Ranger has that going for it, I guess. There is some wit, there are some fantastic action sequences, particularly within its climax, but the narrative is a mess, and the film overall reeks of studio interference. The story, the film's weakest element, is a migraine-inducing clash of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Once Upon a Time in the West, and director Gore Verbinski's own Western-inspired Rango. Scenes do not connect with one another. Individually, they are impressive, but for $215 million they should be, otherwise accusations of embezzlement might be in order. The budget is the reason why this film is good, the stunt work, the art direction. There was money to spare to make all of that look good. But thanks to too many cooks with cold feet on Mars, the hope for a coherent film and a potential franchise got shot out the saloon window from the word go really, because who in their right mind in 2013 wanted to see a Lone Ranger film? The problem is too much money. The problem is also too much competition. The film studios are rightfully scared in the 21st century with television and video games eating away at their audience share, and like they always have done, they have listened to accountants when they should have been listening to creatives, because late capitalism, or mercantilism as it used to be known as in there is a finite amount of options to break even, like remakes or reboots or star vehicles, and nothing else. In conclusion, The Lone Ranger is a bad to mediocre western that just so happens to have been made with the discretionary budget of a small European nation. You might find a 2-hour time waster here, but for me it's a painful reminder of what Hollywood does and why Hollywood is shit. Now, to sum up, X-Men Origins Wolverine is a straight-to-video action film masquerading as a superhero blockbuster. The Counsellor is too smart for anybody, so I would suggest everyone should avoid it. And The Lone Ranger is a feckless disaster, displaying modern Hollywood at its excessive worst, deserving of its infamy, deserving of the irrelevancy it now languishes in. Goodbye.